In 9 months, I turned this abandoned $160,000 18-room apartment building with no tenants and no income into an $800,000 property with huge passive cash flow. Here is how I did it. It's August 30th. We're putting the first sheets up on the roof. We finally got all the supplies after a couple of hiccups with some damaged materials. So here we go. I'm going to put the sheet in, and then we make kind of a sandwich out of it. And after that I have to pre-drill the holes through the metal and then put the screws in. So we'll see if we can line things up. It's something completely new. Not the same as painting, that's for sure. So we cut it to size. So far it fits. So we'll attach the back part first, across the back, and then we'll put the pieces, the cross pieces, to clamp it down. Fortunately, I've been having a lot of trouble with the drill. I was unable to put the pilot holes through. I broke 3 drill bits, and I bought the most expensive drill bits you can buy, so that wasn't supposed to happen. So I gave up on that idea, and I decided to try to use some shorter screws. But the ones I bought were apparently a little bit shorter than I thought, and they don't even reach. So I had some other screws for another job, and I've been trying to use those, and even those could be a little bit longer because it's quite difficult to get it to grab. I guess the end of the screw, it narrows, and I needed it to grab on the bottom part of the sandwich. So that was my brainstorm idea, trying to save the day. But anyway, I got 3 of the panels up, and I'm not sure if it's going to hold or not, so later, maybe when the rain stops, I'm going to have to double check, and I'm going to possibly double up on all the screws to make sure that it holds, because they're not drilled into the steel underneath. They're just holding the sandwich, the 2 aluminum pieces together. So I'm not sure how strong it's going to be, especially if there's a wind or something like that. It could just pull it apart. September 1st, and when I looked from the bottom of my installation, it looks like the screws didn't grab. So I have to try to take a couple of the screws out. It looks like maybe about 5 or 6, and somehow try to get it to reattach. And then I have to refasten that top cross piece because it seems to be in the wrong place. But this is how things go. And sometimes when you're trying to work when it's a little bit dark or it's raining, you make a lot of mistakes. So a word of advice, work when the weather's good. Unfortunately in Pattaya that's not always possible. September 1st, and this is the 3rd day working on the awning. It's been a little bit tough going. Yesterday I was working in the rain and a little bit of darkness. So today I spent the first half of the day fixing a lot of problems. The issue is I can't drill into the metal. It's some kind of hardened steel with like a chrome coating. I'm sure there's some kind of special bit for that, but I didn't find one at the store, and I broke 4 of them just trying to do it. So I gave up that idea, which is how it was installed before. So now I'm using these small short screws, but the problem is they don't grip into the bottom part of the sandwich, or if they do, they just yank out as soon as you start putting the curved pieces on. So it's been very difficult, and I end up putting 2 screws in from the bottom even to try to fix a couple of spots that were just impossible to reach from the ladder. So even for me, I can imagine someone that's not as tall what it would be like. So anyway, we're getting there, and we're on sheet number 4, if I'm counting correctly, and we're getting some shade now, thanks to the new plastic sheets. Well, it's September 2nd, and as you can see behind me, I'm still working on the awning and running into some problems because to finish the top edge in this corner, one roof goes on top of the other. The metal roof has to be extended still. So I'm not sure how far under I'm going to be putting the plastic. And also there's some other complications with the edge not lining up. Been putting in these cover pieces, finishing pieces now, but it's been a lot of trouble. They don't slide in very well. In fact, only one of them actually slid in. The rest of them had to be hammered in, and that was after I added some kind of cooking oil to the edges so that it would slide in. And then I was able to push them in part way, and I hammered them in the rest of the way with a rubber mallet. But yeah, it's been quite an ordeal putting these in, and there's also one up at the wall, which I don't know how I'm going to reach that one to get that one in. I already tried to slide it in from the other end. You can see it sticking up in the background, kind of kinked because the downpipe is in the way. But I'll deal with that one after I finish with these front pieces, and I might have to put in little pieces at a time or something. I'm not sure yet, so let's see. Well, it's September the 4th, and hopefully this is the last of the work on this top of this awning. I had trouble getting that last little cover piece where it covers the track into place, so I gave up after about 2 or 3 hours of meddling with it and bending it and shit. So I just siliconed it in place, and of course it doesn't go into the track. That's the whole problem. So what I did was I put silicone on it, and then I put some cans of leftover paint and whatever just to try to hold it down into place. And so it's just a 3-foot section. It's not a big deal. I just didn't want to leave it empty like that. I'm not sure the consequences. Probably the screws would rust out or something like that. But now I'm just filling the final little cracks, the joints between the end pieces and the back piece. And I have one more to do. You can kind of see it in the background just before the paint cans. And then I move on to trying to deal with the front. I'm just installing the edging. We had a bit of rain the other day, so I couldn't install it because the silicone obviously won't stick to something wet. And this morning it was still a little damp, so I dabbed it with a towel before I applied the trim and the silicone. But it's not too bad. It's not perfectly straight because the underside, when it was previously built, there was like an extension on it that wasn't done exactly the same. But it doesn't look too bad. I don't think it's that noticeable. And now I move on to the second part, which is putting on the front facing parts, which are vertical to the roadway. And previously they had just used some masonite, so I'm going to use the same polycarbonate plastic in the front. Maybe it looks a little bit nicer. The midnight oil, just going by the light from the street lights. But I managed to get 2 of the front panels on, which was much more difficult than I expected. Even though I drilled the holes, I think the screw sizes, I got some extra thick screws so they would hold better. But I probably should have had a little bit larger bit for the pre-drill. That would have made it much easier. But it looks like it's very solid, and I used double washers, so I have like a good, it's at least a 1-inch washer, the big size, and then a smaller size. Otherwise the screw head would have pulled through. So I used 2 washers on the outside and a nice big strong screw. September the 12th, and I'm back up on the roof again. It's completed. The awning is complete, except now we have a joint here, which is a little like a triangle shape, where I don't want the water to be blowing in sideways. A little bit is okay. It doesn't have to be like a perfectly closed-in building, but
just hold me tight and don't let go. Hold me tight and don't let